switch it to a 35, Dino.
Okay, so
the
35
24 was gonna be too much. And I'm gonna stop it and then restart it.
All right.
Alright. And we are going to autofocus. Make sure it's on autofocus. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Alright. Last thing, Dino, I'm not in the shot, right? I just want to double check one more time.
I'm just taking a quick
Yep. Take as much time as you need.
setup for
No, I appreciate you.
Yes,
Can I get a sound check?
Testing.
Oh,
1, 2,
perfect.
3. Okay.
I can hear you fine.
Alright, good.
You do that, move back over. You gotta move back over that way.
This way?
Yeah, just a little bit. Just the top of the clipboard is in.
Okay.
Like that, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, like that, you're good. You're already recording on 1.
Yep.
This shot's perfect. You're recording on 2, you're good to go.
Okay. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Thank you so much for doing this. We met at the Howard County Community Fair, and I was drawn to your energy. Of course, they put you right in the center, so the universe didn't want me to miss you. And then Noah also gravitated to your table.
Yes, he was adorable.
I
I love
appreciate it.
the little craft activity we did.
So I want to know, tell us a little bit about who you are and your background.
Sure. So I am a mom of 2, and I am now a parent educator as well as a couple educator. And I actually went to UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I got an undergrad in psychology, and then I moved to California in '97. And in 2000, I'd done a lot of community work. I'd worked on housing issues, homelessness, in the law field, doing fundraising. And so in 2000, I decided I'm going to do what I think comes naturally to me, which is to go study psychology. So I entered a doctorate program out there in California. I got about 3/4 of the way through it, and then I'd gotten married to my husband, and we had our first child. So there was a point where I realized I really wanted to spend more time with him, and it was actually less expensive for me to stay at home. So I took a leave of absence, thinking I would go back in a few years. But then we had our second child, and by the time I wanted to go back, it was about 10 years later. And in that program, they would only honor about 9 credits. So there was no way I could do that. So meanwhile, I had been raising our kids, super involved with doing that, a lot of volunteer work, a lot of community work, always worked with parent educators, always made sure that I attended whatever parenting workshops I could, or access support, or sent my husband to access the workshops that were being offered, which he didn't always appreciate, but usually after the fact he appreciated them. And then I ended up getting a Master's of Science in Education instead, 10 years after I had left the program for my doctorate. And that was an important degree because it really helped me to understand children with learning differences who are also very bright. So that master's program helped me to understand that one of the most important factors in terms of helping children with learning differences is the parental advocacy. So we ended up moving back to Maryland about 5 years ago, and I thought I was going to get involved with education here. I did end up getting involved in a volunteer capacity through the PTSA and at our kids' high school, plus the county level PTSA, which is called PTAC, which is a great organization. And I did parent education at the high school level, but also helped to coordinate a group that provided county-wide parent education. So to any parents of high school students in the county, they could access free parent education programs. So I loved that work, and I wanted to become a parent educator. We had teens at the time, and we needed some new kinds of tools in our toolbox to deal with the teen years because it's challenging. Okay. Yeah, so I ended up taking some positive discipline courses, started to really learn those tools, which completely helped us and really helped to turn around some struggles that we were having with our teens. And so I was certified in public discipline in 2022 to be a parent educator. And then the following year, I got certified in it's called Keeping the Joy in Relationship, which is all about supporting couples and partners. And so that is my background. And so then I launched Map Wisdom.
Hold on 1 second. I'm stopping you because I wanted to stop you sooner. I want you to look at this camera right here.
Oh, okay.
And I want you to define parent educator.
Sure.
I want you to, when you say it as if you're talking to someone who may want to become or may not even know what the term is.
Yeah.
But just educate them real quick.
Okay, sure. Are you ready? You ready? Okay. So a parent educator is a person who works with parents to provide them tools and information on strategies that are known to be effective in working with their kids, improving their relationships with their kids, getting more cooperation from their kids, learning how to set limits with their kids. All the struggles that parents have in raising kids. A parent educator can be there to support your journey.
Perfect. That's going to be one of the things that we use to market. And you were getting into, you already explained how you got into positive discipline and being a parent educator. But I just wanted to educate people on that term. Tell us more what positive, I know you kind of got into it, but what positive discipline is.
Yeah. So, should I look at the camera?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And you can rephrase the question or.
Sure. So, positive discipline is a certain model. I'm going to start over.
Take your time.
Positive discipline is a particular model of parent education. It was founded by a woman named Jane Nelson. She's written several books. Out of her work grew an organization called the Positive Discipline Association, and they provide training to parents as well as information on where you can access parent educators yourself if you need support. And her work, Positive Discipline, grew out of teachings and the psychology of Alfred Adler, who goes back to the 1930s. So it's very pro-child. He was one of the original founding psychologists. There's Freud, Jung, and Adler. He came out of Vienna. He eventually transplanted to America, and his information has always been remarkably effective in helping both parents and teachers. Teachers were a big part of what he worked on, to provide education for teachers to help get more cooperation from kids. So he really had a big influence. And out of him, a gentleman named Dreikers interpreted a lot of his work in the 60s and wrote a book called Children the Challenge. And Jane Nelson, the mother of positive discipline, based a lot of her work on Children the Challenge by Dreikers. So it's kind of a lineage of practices and thinking around raising children.
Perfect. All right. Now back to the interview.
Okay.
I appreciate you. And
Yeah.
You're perfect for this.
All right,
We're going to have to do this again.
Okay.
What inspired you to start Map Wisdom? And tell us what it is.
Sure. Am I looking at you?
Back to
Okay, great. So MAP Wisdom stands for Marriage and Parenting Wisdom. And I really loved the acronym because we all need a map for that journey, right? So, and I want to also emphasize that it's also partnerships. It's partners raising kids, and also co-parenting. So that happens in life, right? We're not always able to work it out with our partners. So co-parenting is a very important piece of raising children well. So MAP Wisdom is a practice that is here to support parents, both with parent education, so practices, understandings, capacities, tools in your toolbox. And also, Map Wisdom supports partnership and marriage, so couple skills. So same thing, practices, understandings, capacities to really help strengthen the partnership bonds. So that's what Map Wisdom is about.
I love how you took MAP, and we all do need a MAP. And I for me, I think one of the biggest struggles is I would think that I got to the finish line, but it's only because I had no MAP.
Yeah, that's funny.
No, for real. So you're on point.
Yeah.
You want it. So how do you integrate positive discipline teaching into parenting, relationships, and relationship coaching?
So there really are a lot of tools in positive discipline. There's several ways that it is done in Map Wisdom. There's a drop-in chat group for parents who want to either sort of start learning about it. It's kind of low commitment. Anyone can drop in anytime. It's $10 to drop in, very affordable.
How often?
That is weekly on Tuesdays at noon Eastern time, and it's online, and it's 25 minutes. So it's a quick drop in, and if people want to stick around for a 5-minute mindfulness grounding exercise at the end, you can, because that's such a big piece of being in relationship, is being able to kind of ground ourselves. And there's also one on Thursdays that's for couples, same time, noon. It's $10 to pop in. There's a longer course, which is 6 weeks. It's a group course online, and parents can join that. You're learning a lot of skills in that. The group environment is excellent because you're seeing what other parents are doing. You're learning from their successes. You're learning from their mistakes. You're better able to understand your own mistakes and your own successes. And then finally, there's the private consultation. There's sort of private education, but then there's also coaching, and they're not exactly the same. So I do both, and I'm there to work with parents both on the parenting, also the couple support, because so much of being able to keep this whole project afloat is making sure that the co-executors are working together.
How many relationships do you come across? And I know this is part of the question 4. Okay, let's stop. I'll come back. No, let's keep going. How often does the relationship affect the parent? I know it's a crazy question. How often does the relationship affect the parenting, and how?
I mean, I don't know what the research is on this, but I believe that kids are basically a risk factor for divorce because it is so difficult raising kids. There are so many possible points of conflict. And, it just, when you have kids, all the pressures are amplified dramatically. Like if you're in a relationship with a person and it's going well, you may or may not be married, whatever, but you don't have all those additional stressors that are added when you have children. It's much easier to maintain a relationship when it's just 2 people, without kids. You add those kids and it's a whole new game. It's a whole new experience. So that can be very, very challenging. So, I think that it's quite common, that people have kids and it will expose every weakness you have in your relationship, because there's so many fault lines.
Let's transition to common. I know we kind of hit these points, but common challenges and how we can service to address these challenges. So, we know it's a gambit of issues. What are maybe some easy solutions or easy fix or starts? Okay,
so should I start with the big picture challenges,
yes,
and then we can go to the solutions?
Yes,
okay, so I think the big picture challenges right now are, especially in modern parenting, is that in America we've moved into this what's called intensive parenting model, and it's really being driven by two things, it appears. One is that parents are busier than they were in previous decades and generations. And secondly is that all parents now ascribe to a set of values around raising their kids, which is high inputs into the kids. So soccer practice, dance lessons, art classes, music lessons, tutoring, like whatever it is, parents are much more driven to make sure their kid is getting, as much as they can to get them on a good start. And that's not necessarily unfounded. As economic disparities do grow in this country, there's a lot of parental anxiety about their, keeping their kids, making sure they're on a successful trajectory. So both of those things, the busyness and these new expectations around, what you're providing to your kids in order to raise them, the perception of raising them well, create a lot of pressures and demands for parents. Some parents push back with this, kind of these laid back, laissez-faire, free-range parenting styles. But I think a lot of parents feel the pressure, and it's hard not to, do those kinds of things for your kids. Make sure they've got the lessons and certainly the tutoring support and, or whatever help they need to make sure they're being successful. It's hard not to do that stuff. So those things are more, modern challenges that parents are facing and do create a lot of stress. One of the other trends that is definitely newer in terms of parenting from previous generations is the emphasis on what's called relational parenting. So parents have become much more invested in developing good, strong bonds with their kids, connections. And that wasn't necessarily the case for most parents in previous generations. It just wasn't part of the common understanding. But it's being fueled partly by neuroscience, new research in neuroscience, and also attachment research. So we do recognize now that having a strong, healthy emotional relationship with your child in the sense of being connected to them is very helpful for your children. And it's considered what they call a protective factor, which is it will make it easier to weather a lot of the storms and bumpy parts of life. It can help keep your child, potentially off drugs. It can help keep your child out of mischief. Or if they get into mischief, that strong attachment and that secure bond can help get them back on track. So parents are really invested in creating those emotional strong attachments with their kids. That is more work for parents as well. It's more work. Previous generations raised the kid, they're doing all right, off they go. It just wasn't as common knowledge or, not understood as well. Yeah. So that also now provides parents with an opportunity to learn how to do these things. Inevitably, being in relationship forces us to grow, no matter what, whether you have kids or not, whether you have a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whether you're married. Being in relationship forces us to grow emotionally. We have to, just by the nature of learning how to be with somebody else, learning how to be ourselves while we're with somebody else, learning how to adjust, learning how to accommodate, learning how to compromise, learning how to be assertive when we need to, hold our feet to the floor firm in what we need. So it's hard doing that as an individual with someone else. It ups the challenge when we're in relationship with a significant other, and you add children. And again, now all of these demands are amplified. So it is an opportunity when you have children and a partner. It provides us with an opportunity to do deep emotional growing. So there is an upside to all this intensive parenting. And I think those emotional connections are the upside.
Perfect. We're gonna pause. You put all the tissues back there.
Oh man, I was